The sound of a sudden sharp knock rattles a cabin door. The pounding on the door was so sharp, it shook the frame. Trevor Gaines looked up, startled. He had no idea that the knock would bring not just the HOA president, but the state's attorney general into his cabin. And the answer waiting inside would shake an entire neighborhood. Close-up of hand slamming on wooden door, papers scattered on the table, lake in the background. Trevor's cabin sat on the edge of Lake Kiwi, South Carolina, a peaceful escape from years of hard work and logistics. Fishing trips, late-night bonfires with nieces and nephews, quiet weekends away from the city. But since the day he bought it, Judith Caraway, HOA president, had been watching. Mailbox placement, porch chair colors, nothing escaped her scrutiny. Drone shot of cabin on the lake, warm sunlight hitting the water. Trevor reviewing maps and notes. Trevor spread out county maps. Notes on shoreline rights, checking every detail. Across from him, Attorney General Roland Pike adjusted his glasses, calm but commanding. "Roland, you expecting company, Trevor?" "Trevor, no, not a soul." Outside, the knock came again, louder this time. "Open up, HO business." Trevor's jaw tightened. He recognized the voice immediately. Judith Caraway, she thought she owned the entire community, armed with her binder, backed by police officers, and ready to intimidate. But she wasn't ready for what waited inside. Trevor opened the door cautiously. Judith stood there, binder under her arm, lips pressed tight, flanked by 2 deputies. "Judith, Mr. Gaines, we need to discuss your ongoing violations." Trevor, steady. "Violations? This is my property. I know my rights." "Roland, and so do I." Judith listed his violations, dock extensions, lighting, unapproved modifications. Trevor calmly cut her off, gesturing to his legal notes. "Trevor, everything I've done is within county code. I even checked with the Attorney General." Roland stepped forward. "Calm but firm, Roland. When an HOA president drags police onto private property without cause, that raises questions. Big ones," Judith faltered. Her authority, built on intimidation, started to crumble. The deputies exchanged glances, realizing this was no ordinary HOA dispute. Trevor stood shoulder to shoulder with Roland, letting the silence stretch before speaking. "Trevor, you came here thinking you could intimidate me. Instead, you walked into something you weren't ready for." Roland gestured toward the cabin. "Roland, let's bring this conversation inside. You barged onto private property. You might as well hear what we were reviewing." Inside, maps and legal notes laid bare the truth. A pattern of selective enforcement, intimidation, and abuse of HOA authority. Trevor wasn't the only target. For the first time, neighbors had a voice. And what started as a knock on a door was becoming a reckoning. At the next HOA meeting, the community gathered in the center by the lake. Usually quiet, low turnout affairs. Tonight, the room was packed. Judith entered, binder in hand, chin high. Trevor stood calmly, Roland Pike at his side, the weight of law behind them. "Trevor, Judith, what you've done is the opposite of protection. You've used your title to intimidate, ignored paperwork, singled out families, and threatened them until they gave up. That's not leadership, it's control." Evelyn Parks, "You made me move my porch swing. That wasn't about rules, it was about power. Frank Dillman ignored the Johnsons' oversized dock, but came after Trevor like he was a criminal. Collie Brenner, I paid fines for years just to avoid trouble, but I won't stay quiet anymore. The room erupted in murmurs, some applause. Judith slammed her gavel. Roland stepped forward, voice firm, Roland. Order is what we need, but true order, built on fairness, equality, and respect, not fear or favoritism. And this is about accountability. The motion was made for a vote of no confidence. Chaos ensued. Cheers, protests, shouting, but the tide had turned. Judith's power, built on fear and compliance, was slipping within days. Neighbors began speaking openly. Evidence of fines, letters, and intimidation spread. Residents came forward, united. Trevor's fight became everyone's fight. Roland Pike held press conferences. Headlines read, Attorney General calls out HOA over abuse of authority. Judith's attempts to spin the story failed. Her allies were shaken. Her power had collapsed under the weight of truth. Finally, she resigned. Judith, I realize my efforts to protect this neighborhood have been misunderstood, and I no longer wish to cause division. The HOA was restructured. Residents gained transparency and fairness. Kids played basketball freely. Porch swings returned. Docks lit under county-approved rules. Trevor stood by the lake, peaceful at last, knowing that peace had to be earned, defended, and shared. When people refuse to stay quiet, power shifts. And fairness doesn't trickle down from authority, it rises from those who stand together. If this story moved you, remember, silence in the face of unfairness only strengthens it. Stand up, speak out, protect what matters. And for more stories of everyday Black Rural HOA stories, hit subscribe and join us.